Welcome to HP Tuners Subaru Training Part 27. In this training tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at everything we've learned for the last two tutorials with our boost control and actually demonstrate a boost control calibration process from start to finish. So we're going to be applying a target that we want to reach for boost pressure and then dialing in all of our boost control tables so it's going to be achieving that desired target. We're going to have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look in this tutorial at implementing boost control. We're going to be doing a live demonstration. We've went over the boost control in the last tutorial pretty in depth. You understand what the tables represent, how to work with them. We know we have our Excel-based calculator to start populating our tables out. We're going to essentially start from scratch right now. The calibration file that I'm working with, I've done the basic scaling, so things like the mass airflow, I've updated idle control, and a few other minor details. But essentially this is going to be a stock equivalent file that we're going to be working with here. This particular car that I have here to calibrate on the chassis dyno is going to be a bolt-on car. So it's going to have a Cobb SF intake, a turbo back exhaust, and a 3-port boost solenoid. So it's very, very basic. We're going to look at the process from start to finish. Now, if you have a bigger turbo, an external wastegate, the process that we're talking about here is essentially going to be the same thing, but you'll find that you're going to have to go and walk up the duty cycle tables and just kind of be slow with the process. We can go a little bit quicker here because I have a lot of this data populated in the Excel spreadsheet. So we're just going to start off with everything zeroed out and then walk our way up. And we can see, because the car's on the chassis dyno, I have a screen capture going on the chassis dyno, we'll be able to see the power as we bump it in and increase the boost levels. So let's go and take a look at this right now. So the calibration I'm starting off with here is going to be called Boost Control Tutorial Number 1. Again, this is going to be, in this particular case, essentially a stock equivalent file. I have applied the patch, so we can see here HPT custom features. I have applied it, but we're going to be running it on MAF. So it's not going to be a speed density based tune. There's really no reason or need to do a speed density based tune. If we jump in here to engine, we jump in here to our general area and actually here into airflow, we're going to find air calc mode is left for MAF only. Now again, I've scaled out the MAF. It has a Cobb SF intake. I've used the Excel spreadsheet calculator. I've scaled it out. We might have to clean it up a little bit. We'll look at that process along the way of doing the boost control to tuning, because we've obviously went through at this point how to deal with both open loop tuning for MAF and open loop tuning for speed density. So let's jump in here and let's take a look at the very next step in our process. We're going to move in here. Very first thing I want to talk about, let's go under fuel and let's go here under cutoff, decel fuel cutoff. In here we see that there's a boost fuel cutoff. These values are going to be associated with the first boost cut or the primary boost cut that we need to deal with. We need to make sure, because we're increasing our boost targets, we want to build more boost, that we want to raise our boost cut. Now I'm going to be shooting for about 18 to 20 pounds, looking at a boost gauge reference in terms of talking about the PSI reference here. So 18 to 20 PSI of boost gauge reference. We need to go and have our boost cut set higher than that by about 3-4 pounds. Just so if we're making a gear shift happen, we don't happen to bump in and hit the boost cut. It's always good practice to keep your boost cut a little bit higher, a couple PSI higher than your target that you ultimately want to run at. So we're going to go in here to the boost limit table. Now in the boost limit table, as we discussed, this table is going to be a PSI-G reference, or gauge pressure reference. This is referencing sea level. So when we're looking at these values, these are going to be a reference at sea level. We need to go in and change this so it's more representative of the boost levels that we're going to try to go after here. So first things first, we're going to jump in here. We can see at the top, this is going to be our calculated load. On the side here, this is going to be our engine speed. Now in this table, I'm going to set all of my values to a similar value. We can see here at 56 and 6400, this is at 25 PSI boost. Well, we're not going to get that high in boost. I can actually take this entire table here and set it to something like 23 PSI. We do equals, and we'll find that we can simplify the boost cut. When we get up here to the higher calculated load values, 2.9, 3.1, this range on a stock turbo like this, we're probably going to be hitting this range. We're going to say if we get higher than about 22, 23 pounds of boost, then we want to go and shut off the engine. Now, if we do trip this boost cut, there's a restore function here. Again, this is PSI-G, or gauge reference pressure. We're going to set this In this case, it's saying we have to drop below 9.6 psi. We're going to set this to probably something like 14 or 15 psi in order to turn off the boost cut functionality. That way it's just not as abrupt, because we are raising our limits here. We want to raise our restore limit. So it has to go, and if it exceeds this cut, it'll kick into the cut, it'll just shut the engine down, and then we have to drop below 15 psi for the engine to come back online again and come out of the boost cut. So that's the first step here. The next thing we're going to do is jump into airflow. From airflow here, we're going to move over to pressure control and turbocharger. We need to go and set all of our details in here for the programming. I'm going to go here into the turbocharger window. Let's just work with this first because we're clicked on this. Now, jumping into our wastegate area here, we have our wastegate frequency. We can leave it at this 15.3 hertz. The max duty cycle post comp, we're going to leave here at 90%. The max duty cycle and the wastegate duty cycle feed forward tables.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.